Hey guys, Andy here, and I'm here to bring you all things Monday to makeup related. If that's your vibe, I'd love it if you would subscribe to be part of my little slice of the internet. And in today's video, I'm bringing you my Q4 update for the Due to Pan My Battleship Project Pan. So if you want to see all the progress I've made on my palette and just have a conversation about it, let's go ahead and get on into it. If you don't know anything about this project, where have you been? It's been a year. This was originally done by Elizabeth, who is now Shiny Happy Pants on Instagram, and Paula, who is a beauty guru, made me do it here on YouTube and on Instagram. I'm playing against DW at Dub's Beauty Diary. And we started this January 1st, and it goes until we sink all of our ships. There's a 2-pan, 3-pan, 4-pan, if you've never played Battleship, of course. Obviously, we're not doing a 5-pan 2, just those 3. And I am using the Jeffree Star Blue Blood palette, and DW is using Blood Sugar from Jeffree Star. We got the Fire and Ice idea from Megan at Megan's Makeup Musings because she was doing a warm and cool completionist project pan that I believe she's no longer doing, but that's where we got the idea to use these palettes to do that. All the information, all the people listed, as always, will be listed in the description box down below. So, if you don't know what the Blue Blood palette looks like, this is what she looks like. Unfortunately, for Q4, I have no new pans, but I have some good dips, and we will talk about it because I am pretty happy with my progress. I'm happy I hit any pans at all in a year, to be completely wholesale honest with you, because I believe that originally I said as long as I hit a pan, I will be happy. And I've hit 2. And I think I'm pretty close on a couple shades. So nobody has won yet. DW has sunk 1 ship and is close. Let me see. And is really close to hitting another ship, to be wholesale honest. So yeah, I only hit 2 pans, so I guarantee you I'm so far away. But let's go through these shade by shade. So, for Cullinan, I used this twice in December, so we have a total of 13 uses for the year on this shade. And I'll do the side-by-side comparisons at the end so that you can really see from the beginning of the year until now what the difference in the palette looks like, and I think there's been a really big difference. I love the shade Cullinan as an inner corner shade. I've used it as a face highlighter. That's definitely a shade I think I can hit pan in. For Mint Tea, which is this second shade here, I used it once in December. I've used it 3 times in the year. I see a little disturbance, not much. I don't love mint shades, but I'm starting to enjoy them. I'm happy that I've used every shade in this palette. So, let's just get that out of the way. For Crystal Flesh, which is this shade here, I used it once in December. So we're at 4 total uses for the year, and it's actually a really pretty shade. It is a really pretty shimmer. Those 2 shades are my favorite shimmers. Honestly, every other shimmer in the palette, which there's these 2 shimmers, because that's more of a satin, and then that's a pressed glitter. They're all ass. I could take all of those out of the palette, to be honest. So I like both of those. I definitely love this one, but that one's really pretty too. Then we have the shade I'm Cold, which I used once in December, so we're at 11 uses on I'm Cold, and I have a pretty big dip on that shade. I feel like I could hit pan on it, because since I have pan on this setting shade down here, I have been mixing I'm Cold with Priceless to get a neutral setting shade. So we have Untouchable, this pink. I did not use it in December, but it is still sitting at 3 uses for the year. To me, personally, this is the most out of place shade in the entire palette. So I just find it hard to incorporate it into looks when I'm just using this palette. And then, like I said, we have Priceless here, which I used twice in December. It's at 5 uses. And it does have not as big of a dip as I'm Cold, but it has a dip starting, and I'm pretty happy with that. So the next shade we have is Power, which I used twice in December, and it is sitting at 10 uses. You can barely tell I've touched this shade, which is quite upsetting. And I just think it's also because it's so dark. It's not crazy dark, but it's pigmented, so I don't need a lot of it when I use it, but it is a really nice shade. Then we have Blue Blood, and I used that once in December. It is sitting at 7 uses, which I can see some disturbance in the embossing because I've been trying to wear away like the top of this crown. So I've seen some disturbance. Like I said, at the very end here, I'll post the before and after photos, and hopefully that'll really help so you guys can see just in a year's worth of usage where we're at. For the shade Deceased here, I haven't used it since like August. It's still sitting at 2 uses. It is one of my least favorite shades in the palette. This shade is fine. It's just hard to use because of the color. The formula on this shimmer is dog shit, and then Blue Monday is awful. So then we have Ice Tray, which I used twice in December. It's sitting at 9 uses. I don't love it, but it's a fine shade. Then we go to Blue Monday. It's still sitting at 3 uses. It's so hard pressed. It has such a different matte formula than any other matte in the palette. I love the color of it, but the formula is terrible. It's just really hard to use. Then we have Flourishing, which I did use once in December. It is sitting at 7 uses. It is more teal, but it's nice. And again, that's another shade that, like, I've used it 7 times, and you can hardly tell, because you just do not need much of it. It's a very pigmented shade. Then for Wealthy here, which was the first shade I hit pan on, I believe. Yeah. It's sitting at 5, 10, 12 uses. I hit pan on it, and it's a miss. So I have not used it since because I'm not going to for the course of the project. If I hit pan on it, we're moving on. Then we have Celebrity Skin, which I did use once in December. That is sitting at 3 uses. I like the shade. We have Entitled, I used once in December. That is at 4 uses. It's not a bad shade. It's nice to pair with the tealy teals. We have Ocean Ice, which I used once in December. We're at 4 uses. That one I am going to hit pan on next. It has such a big dip, and it being a pressed glitter, that is the next shade I will hit pan on. Then we have Cremated, which, as you can see, it's a baby pan, but it's still a pan. I ended up using this once in December, even after I hit pan, because in the palette bingo that we did for the Bingo of Shame project pan, it was this palette, and that shade got chosen, and I wasn't going to re-roll it. So it did get an extra use after hitting pan. So it's sitting at 13 uses. But I find it interesting that both of those shades took 12 uses to hit pan. But like Cullinan, we're at 13 uses already, no pan. Power, we're already at 10 uses. You can't tell I've even touched it. Flourishing, we're at 7. You can't tell I've touched it. And then the last shade here, Undertaker, which I've been working away at like the star on top of the tombstone, which now I realize was very dumb because there was more product there. I should have worked on like the corner, but it is what it is. I used it once in December. We're at 5 uses. So that is the palette as a whole. I'm really happy with my progress over the year. Like I said, 2 pans. I've got 3 or 4 shades that I really do think I can hit pan on. Whether they be hit or miss, that is to be determined. But I digress. I am very excited. I still have, hope for the project. If you guys didn't know, DW has been super sick, but she does still want to continue this project. She's just taking a little bit of a break, which gives me a moment of clarity to catch up, maybe, and be a formidable opponent since she already has a ship that has been demolished. So we will still be continuing this as of right now, but that is the Q4 update. These videos aren't generally too long. But that is all the usage on everything. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the comparison photos for the year, which I hope you'll find as interesting as I do. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.